Okay, let's talk about RESPECT. It is the second most common value listed on companies and organizations' values, and also it is highly, highly important to any personal relationship that you might have. And as we all know, we live and breathe and thrive when we're in good connection to other people. And so respect is of the utmost importance. My personal idea of respect really begins with the understanding that every person, every human being has these inalienable rights that really define and require respect of that person in their humanity. But also, each individual has a unique set of boundaries, how they interpret respect from other people. It's also how they interpret their own respect that they give to other people. And so, my idea of respect is this: it's very nuanced. It could be one of the most nuanced and kind of complicated values out there because there's these inalienable rights of respect, but there's also these very unique boundaries that a person has that if you cross that boundary, then they are going to feel disrespected. It's unique because what can feel like respect to one person can feel like, honestly, a total disrespect to another person. For me, I'm just going to tell on myself here, like when I am in an intense conversation with somebody, I have to really tell myself to pause and to wait longer than I need to in order to make sure that person is fully heard on their position, on their perspective, and what they're seeing and how they're interpreting things. Because I hear someone and then I'm really tempted to jump on in and say, okay, well, let's understand all these other sides of the situation because I want to be a mediator, right? But respect to that person is really leaning back, even for me, and making sure that that person feels the empathy and understanding to the level that they need. Because for me to jump in, even with good intention, so that all sides are heard and that, everyone can like find a median ground, that's good intention. But it will cross that person's boundaries really quickly where they don't feel that they've been heard or respected. So I've got to pump my brakes and put on an extra pause because what might feel respectful for me can actually cause that other person to feel highly disrespected. So in that way, respect can be really complex. And so because of that, that's really the reason why I think this is such, not only because it's important, it's on everybody's list, but because of the nuance of it, it makes it even more important that we talk about it because it can be easily misunderstood and people can walk away easily and feel disrespected. And so how do we navigate the nuance of respect when it comes to our own self-respect, when it comes to how we respect the people around us, and how we really uphold their inalienable rights, but also how do we uphold their unique boundaries that they have that really help them feel secure and safe? Because if a person can feel secure and safe within their boundaries, within their rights, then they are going to thrive. That's what we want the people we work with to do. That's what we want the people we're in partnership with in any form or fashion. If you want them to be their best selves, then you've got to make sure they feel psychologically safe. And the key to doing that is making sure that they feel respected, but also that you understand and respect their unique boundaries. Okay, so what does Merriam-Webster Dictionary say that respect actually is? So let's look at this actual definition. Respect is, first definition, is a high or special regard. A high or special regard. I always think of putting somebody on a pedestal, which when we say that, we kind of usually talk about it in a negative way. Like we don't want to put them on the pedestal because they'll fall off inevitably because people are human. But when I hear this, I also think that there is a natural and there is a healthy pedestal that we can put people on that really reminds us that that person deserves respect. that that person deserves high regard and esteem for being who they are, exactly as they are. So high or special regard. The next definition is the quality or state of being esteemed. The quality of something has value to it. The quality or state of being esteemed. It's saying to the people you work with, to the people you're around, I value you. If you value somebody, then naturally you're going to esteem and respect them. So that quality or state of being esteemed. And then the third and the last one is expressions of high or special regard or deference, which is really the same sense of respect and esteem. Okay, so that's like the actual definition there. And it's very concrete. Again, when we're talking about these values, we're talking about identifiable themes. We're not talking about some mystical, magical idea that's, feels good. We're talking about something that you can actually look at and say, that is respect, okay? That is what respect looks like, sounds like, walks like, talks like. That is respect. Now, as we know, whatever the value is, there's going to be antonyms, okay? There's going to be what I would call like enemies of the value when we're talking about it in teams and cultures and homes, in organizations. What are those enemies of respect? Like what is the opposite of respect? And so these are going to sound extreme because they're at the other side of the pendulum exactly. If respect is way over here and the idea of it is concrete and firm and exact, then these are just way over here on the other side. And so those opposites and antonyms, I'm just going to name a few of them, are condemnation. So just saying guilty, 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 shame on you, that kind of thing. That is like the opposite end of respect. Also disdain, contempt. Sometimes the most painful thing isn't condemnation as far as I'm concerned. Sometimes the most painful thing is contempt. Like somebody looking at you and saying, basically, I don't care. I don't care what happens to you. Like I have no regard. I have no esteem for you. That can be really painful. So contempt. A couple other opposites is disapproval, which that's kind of like a soft one, when we think about it. Scorn. They're in that same kind of condemnation, shame kind of idea. And then the last one I'll refer to is disregard, which is really, really similar to that contempt that people can feel and that other people can really extend to them. So when I think about these opposites of values, we already covered integrity. Here we are with respect. But when I think about the antithesis of these values, I think every antithesis, if we are talking about people, okay, if we're applying this to humans, this is what the value looks like in action. This is what the value doesn't look like in action. Anything that lives over here, the antithesis of the value is the result of a person pursuing a good thing the wrong way. So if you think about someone who has been disrespectful to someone else, it probably is because in their mind, they were pursuing something good, but they were doing it in the wrong way. So if you're in an argument, whether it's a personal argument or whether it's a professional argument at work, if you are in an argument with someone and you start talking loudly, okay? And so that can feel, and that is disrespectful. So you start yelling at the person essentially. If you start doing that, in your mind, you are probably thinking they need to hear this. We need some understanding. And in order for there to be peace and understanding, I need to be heard. We both need to be heard. Now listen, we've all been there more than likely. And that idea, that's a good thing. Seeking peace, seeking understanding, wanting to be on the same page, that's a good thing. So we want to pursue that. The problem comes when we pursue a good thing in the wrong way. You can also say every antithesis is a result of somebody pursuing a value, and it just kind of gets perverted in their mind sometimes. You can take a pursuit of something good, and it can kind of be perverted and really become harmful and disrespectful to the people around you and to those who you are working with or whatever. When we want respect, a lot of times we're seeking justice. Like, let's just take justice, for example. You can disrespect someone when you are seeking justice, but you start to seek it in the wrong way. Then we dip over into disrespect. Is seeking justice good? Absolutely. We should all be seeking justice, right? We want what's right for not just ourselves, but for other people. Do we live in a fair world? No. So we come to terms with that sometimes. However, we all have that inner desire. We all want justice. We all desire it. And that's a good thing. But the problem arises when we pursue it in the wrong way. That's where people seek revenge, right? And that's where it can be really damaging to others in so many different ways. So what kind of environments, I want you to think about this. What kind of environments do you and other people thrive in? When you are in this environment of work or life or friends, you just feel like you are at your most authentic self, at your most confident self. You feel like you can get the job done. Like, what does that look like? Okay, if you're like me and really probably any other human, we thrive in places where we feel secure and connected. I mean, if you think about and even watch children, and if they feel insecure, they are not going to thrive. I have 2 teenagers going through, elementary, junior high, now in high school. And you know what? I look at how they learn and the different styles of teaching and how they talk to the kids. Listening to my kids, I can recognize that when a teacher makes them feel secure and respected in their own right, then they thrive. They thrive in ways that I didn't even know they could thrive. And the same thing goes for us as adults in teams, in relationships, in friendships, in settings, in organizations. We will thrive where we feel secure and where we feel respected. There was a study by Harvard Business School that came out that said employees who feel respected by their leaders are 55% more engaged. When employees feel respected, they are 55% more engaged in the projects, in the outcomes, in the vision, in the meeting. This is why respect is on so many people's radars, is because they know, and they've probably read statistics like this that say, man, if we want engagement, if we want people to be on board with this, then we have got to create a culture of respect. Now, within teams and organizations or partnerships or what have you, there are things that really hinder this culture and environment of respect. So I'm going to talk about a few of those things real quick. So we talked about like the total opposite side, but what I'm talking about now is really things that push against respect, and they will challenge it, and it's like water on the passion. Like if somebody is passionate about creating an environment of respect, these are the things that will really shift the culture and shift the environment. And sometimes just one person can do it and is capable of it. And so these are the things that really hinder respect. If you're looking like, man, I feel like there's an environment of disrespect around here, what is it that's causing it? And what do we need to look for? What do we need to nip in the butt kind of thing? So first one is this: pride and contempt. So when someone is overly proud, so confidence is great and it's a good thing. We want to be confident. We don't want other people to be confident. But when we start pursuing it in a bad way, that's when it leans into pride. And so when somebody thinks they are so much higher than everyone else, that's a problem. And when pride is present within someone or within multiple people, of course, the same can be said. It can lead to a lack of respect for others. My pride, if I think of myself higher than you, man, it's really going to hinder an environment of respect. Because if I think I'm higher than you on the totem pole and think I'm just a better person, have more value inherently or something like that, then it's going to come out in my tone. It's going to come out in my words. And it'll be known, it'll affect the people around us. Another thing that can really hinder respect is uncontrolled desires for things. So uncontrolled desires for money, for power, for control, it can really get in the way of showing respect. Again, good things. Having money is a good thing. Having influence is a good thing. Having control, making sure that everything's balanced and doing well is a good thing, but it can be pursued in the wrong way. And the three things I would say that really cause the greatest hindrance to creating an environment of respect. Okay, last but not least here, how can we really take a positive approach to create an environment of respect? I mean, I just can't help but think of my kids when I even talk about this. When I think about the people I work with, I think about clients I have, I want to foster an environment of respect. And if you're listening this and you've got to this point, more than likely you also want to foster an environment of respect in your home, in your team, in your organization, really whatever you have influence in and around. You want to foster an environment of respect. There is too much disrespect in this world. And so we should all have a bit of a fire to say, how can we foster more respect? Well, there's a couple key points and ways that we can foster respect. And the first one is this: we can start believing in ourselves and in others more. If I believe in myself, I mean like truly believe in myself and my capabilities, my value as a person, my whatever, my expertise, if I truly believe in myself, then I am going to speak about myself in a way that is respectful. If we truly believe in other people, like if we start to see their potential, if we start to see their strengths, if we start to see what they bring to the table and how important it is, we're going to speak to them differently. We're going to respect them more. And so believing in yourself and other people. The second thing is, I'm doing a teaching right now, right? And so yes, I'm talking about it, but respect is one of those things that is better caught than taught. I'm going to say it again. Respect is one of those values that is better caught than it is taught. Talking about respect is great and good, but in order for it to spread, it really needs to be modeled and it needs to be embodied. I know so many adults who talk about their parents as demanding respect of them and talking a lot about respect, teaching on respect, and really saying, you need to respect me. But they didn't model respect for maybe their other parent, or maybe didn't model respect for that child and their value and who they were. And so that now adult would say, I struggle with having and showing and embodying respect because I never saw it modeled for me. So again, respect is one of those values where you can talk about it all day and bosses and leaders can demand it, but unless it is shown, it is not going to trickle down that org chart. It is not going to trickle down into those kids in your home. It is not going to trickle down at all. It has to be embodied and modeled, not just to the person next to you and the peer, but to the person who you're wanting to embody it as well. You've got to show them respect. Show them respect, and you will start to cultivate an environment and a culture of respect. So model it. And then the third thing here is practicing forgiveness. And I put this in here just because I think it's so important to having respect, because one of the instances, or I would say probably the most common instance where we really disrespect other people is when we think they're in the wrong. When they've done something wrong, when they've made a mistake at work, when we think they have a wrong perspective or idea. Once that happens, we have this need to correct, right? We want to put them in their place and correct them. And as a result, we cross their boundaries and we disrespect them. And maybe not even just them, but other people around as well. And so when someone makes a mistake, if we can go, I'm going to forgive them. I want to hear about this, but in your mind, you're going to extend forgiveness and some mercy there, and you're going to help right the wrong. If you come at it knowing that that's the end in mind, you're going to approach it with more respect. tell me about how this happened, not tell me about how this happened. How could you let this happen? Right? That's where it gets disrespectful to that person. But if we approach it with the end in mind, which is, listen, I'm going to forgive them for this in this wrong, and I'm going to help right their wrong. If we understand that and we approach it with that, it is a complete game changer. So approach problems with the understanding, I'm going to help right the wrong, and also I'm going to extend forgiveness. Maybe not in that moment, because it is difficult, but you are going to get to that point where you're going to make the choice to forgive them. So those are just a couple ways that you can foster respect, whether it be in your home or on your team or in your organization. So self-evaluation here as we end. Ask yourself, am I leading myself with respect? Is there a calm confidence that when I look at myself in the mirror, when I walk into a meeting, that I have some self-respect? Because again, if we want to cultivate this, it's going to start with us. Like, you are the target. Draw a big circle around yourself. Where does this culture shift happen? Right there in the center of that circle with you. So are you leading with confidence? The second question is, are you showing up for people with respect? So are you showing up for your team members? Are you showing up for your bosses? Are you showing up for the people that work for you with respect? And if not, this is your challenge to change it, to walk into problems, understanding that you're going to extend forgiveness, to have respect for somebody by not just talking about it, but modeling it. And then also just to believe in people. At the end of the day, people thrive where they feel secure and respected. So if you are not respecting yourself, if you are not in a place where you're like secure in yourself, you're not going to thrive, right? And if the people around us don't feel secure and respected in their own right, again, with those inalienable rights and boundaries, and also with those unique ones that we kind of have to learn and understand and apply empathy to, then they're going to feel disrespected. So apply those to your life. Interview yourself. Go, am I doing these things? And if you see a point of weakness, let's be part of the solution, right? Let's be part of the solution that says that we are going to spread this environment and this value of respect for others. Thanks again for listening, and I so hope to see you back here soon.